No, I just have that song stuck in my head.
Yeah, same. Wait, which one?
Da 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 da
No,
da 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 da.
So, what were we up to? Maria's diary.
Yep. Maria's diary. She's had her magical girl transformation.
Yeah, that's right.
And so has Sakataro.
Magical girl.
Well, he looks like he's from a magical girl show anyway. Isn't it like based off one?
What? Yeah. What's her name? What's his name?
Forgot. The name of the character in this story, or the name of?
No, it's Sakura.
Yeah.
What's the thingy? Kyon?
No.
That's the lion, the little.
No, I
boy.
know. I actually can't remember. I have the manga upstairs. No, I don't. I have it at home.
Because she said that she wanted to call it Sakura after the show.
Yeah, but it was
but
a
then it
girl's
was a
name.
boy lion, so she
Yeah.
changed it to Sakataro.
I don't know. Is it because there's? I think the English version has a different name. Does the English version have a different name to it?
Well, she's Sakura still. I don't know about every other
Yeah,
character.
but so like her best friend is Tomo something. And I think in English it's, what does she call it? Oh, Madison. They changed the name to Madison.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch it much.
I loved it.
So you get what's going on with all those people things.
You're alluding to something.
Who is?
You are alluding
Oh, not really.
to the fact that I'm supposed to be picking up something and I'm not. So I'm not sure what is going on.
Well, you understand the format of what's being shown to us, right?
What do you mean by format?
We're peeking into Maria's diary.
Yeah, and I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
that she
about
can animate things to life, essentially. She's changed the... So basically, the fact is her life was actually pretty horrible and sad. And her mum was probably... I don't know. It made it seem like her mum was doing something dodgy.
Like,
It said she was going on dates.
yeah.
So it sounded like she was like dating and doing stuff instead of looking after her kid.
Who knows? Only Rosa knows.
You ever find out?
Well, maybe Angie knows. She seems to know more than Maria does.
I can read between the lines, Declan.
What was,
12 years
Damn, there's a
later.
line I forgot. Oh, wow. That place... Okay.
Have you been there?
No, it looks like, it's a Final Fantasy 15. Must have been based on real life place then. I'm gonna have to decide.
Who's speaking?
New character.
Oh.
Do you want it?
A man or
It's
a
a man.
woman?
Looks like me when I'm 70 years old.
I think I can do old voices. It might just sound like Dr. Nanjo though.
Maybe I should do it because you've had a lot of stuff with like Maria and Angie and stuff.
Well, who was he talking to?
Huh?
Who was he talking to? Maybe that'll work out better.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Is he talking to a character that I'm voicing or that you're voicing?
I gotta think of a voice.
Think of one that's not
Yes,
going
I
to
will
like
never forget
destroy
that.
your throat.
No, he's not that kind of... It happened in April of 1987. I received a certain strange request from a friend. There was a large collection of books, the former possessions of a very rich man, that were being sold in an auction. and it was thought that some of them might have been extremely valuable to the study of archaeology and folklore, as well as in an occult sense. So this friend wanted to witness their worth confidentially.
That was 87. Half a year after the crime in Rikengima.
Correct. It was explained that those books had escaped the disaster at Rikengima. The owner of the island, Miss Ushiremiya Ava, had put them up for auction.
This was apparently a high-class restaurant. A middle-aged man was sitting across from Anji in a secluded and quiet seat.
Amakusa could be seen by the entrance. He was probably keeping a lookout for pursuers from the Sumidera family. The scholarly man across from Anji spoke politely, but with enthusiasm. He didn't lay a finger on the food in front of him, so you could tell how excited he was as he spoke fervently. He was a professor at a certain college, and particularly well known as an authority on Western folklore.
When they say certain college, is that supposed to be an actual university?
I guess, maybe.
Are they like,
probably
is
like
it like when you do those like, what do you call this, inverted comma, like certain college.
However, among his life works, that was only a convenient exterior. His true life work was the study of occultism, Western magic, alchemy, and everything else to do with the occult, as well as demonology. In short, he was the person in the best position to understand the details of Kinzo's research. First, what I learned by praising those books was that Miss Ushiremiya Ava had absolutely no education in the study of folklore, and that the original owner of the books, Ushiremiya Kinzo, was certainly one of the top 5 authorities on demonology in Japan. April 1987. A major city antique shop obtained a large quantity of ancient documents that were thought to have a high historical value. They were entrusted with them by Ushiremiya Ava, who wanted them to be sold at auction. At the time, it was thought that Ava would succeed the Ushiremiya family, and have all the wealth to herself as the only survivor. However, at that point, not even half a year had passed since the accident, and the others had not been missing long enough to be presumed dead, even under extraordinary circumstances. Because of that, Ava had supposedly been in a very tight spot financially, unable even to collect on her family's life insurance. It seemed that she tried to sell everything of value, and even the books kept in the place where she had escaped from harm, Kuwadorian, were used for this purpose. These old books, which would eventually be called the Ushiremiya Library, were later gathered from antique shops by authorities in the field so that they could be appraised, and those authorities were astounded. At least speaking from the perspective of occultism, the impact of that discovery on the world was comparable to the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls. This is because contained within the Ushiremiya Library were many extremely vital documents that had never been found, though their existence had been known of for more than a millennium. The many dreams of the occult, such as those represented by alchemy, always stirred an intense fascination in dilettantes. Dilettantes? It is whispered that many magic books of great historical value, currently unknown to the public, might be in the secret possession of extremely wealthy lovers of the occult. Items such as Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks, which are particularly popular among dilettantes, are said to be prime examples of this. It is said that approximately 5,000 pages of those notebooks currently exist, and that over 10,000 have been lost. But some researchers believe that a large part of this lost portion may be monopolized by certain enthusiasts and members of the extremely rich. It is said that because of this, even now, dilettantes who can't help but seek these spare no expense to search around for quietly hoarded away and unannounced books, or notebooks. There is probably no doubting that Ushiremiya Kinzo was himself one of those dilettantes. No one knows what Kinzo went through to obtain those, but there can be no mistake that he used his vast wealth freely, buying them off of other rich people with the same hobby as him. Those books, which were so valuable that enthusiasts could never satisfy the desire to hoard them away, were discovered in large numbers at the end of the 20th century, and their release to the public had given the entire world a massive shock. Because of this case, the name Rikengima became known across the world, The world was also shocked to learn that in all likelihood a large number of even more valuable undiscovered books were lost during that accident on Rokkenjima. Because of this, the names of Rokkenjima and the Ushiromiya Library will remain in our memories for all time. Our memories. That owl probably meant the occult neck of the woods with the same hobby as Kinzo. Because of that incident, the name of Rokkenjima had taken on a vital meaning in the world of the occult. There certainly had been a lot of reporting about the accident on Rokkenjima itself, but not on an international level. However, this one part had spread across the world, taking the image of Rokkenjima as a small island in the Izu archipelago and painting it over as a demonic island where riddles, suspicion, mystery, and the occult met. In other words, until Kinzo's library was leaked to the public by Eva, Rokkenjima had been merely a nameless island that no one could remember, and certainly not the island of a witch. However, when the knowledge of the Ushiromiya Library spread all over the planet, Rokkenjima's image immediately took on an occult twist. What happened next was the discovery of that message bottle. That's what turned that island into a witch's island. A nameless island in the Izu archipelago began to transition into an island of the occult, the island of the mysterious witch Beatrice. You might say that lacking either the Ushiromiya Library or the message bottle, the Rokkenjima witch would never have been established.
The message bottle.
Yes, a form of communication to an unspecified target. By throwing an empty bottle with a letter sealed inside it into the sea. It was once famous as a way of sending an SOS from a deserted island, but because of the influence of a certain prominent foreign detective novel, it has also become known as a method of confessing the truth after one's death, like a time-delayed will. The case of Rokkenjima message bottle was certainly one of the latter. That is Agatha Christie?
I was going to ask you.
I can't remember, I haven't read the book. I can't find it.
What's the book called?
And Then There Were None.
Oh, it's that one.
Yeah, so do you remember in the series if that happened in the end?
I was trying to think of that, but I don't know. There was a lot of death.
Yeah, obviously.
I'm trying to say it without spoiling, doing any spoilers. I can't remember. I have a picture in my mind of a scene of, the waves washing up on the shore, but I don't remember if there was a bottle in that or not.
I'm gonna assume it is. From what I remember, it ended up. It makes sense, but anyway.
Because we watched that. Was it last year or the year before?
I think it was early this year, maybe.
Really?
Or late last year, yeah. One of the two.
Yeah, okay.
That's probably Angie.
This is the thing everyone says a fisherman on a nearby island picked up?
Correct. We learned that a young fisherman on Shikinejima picked up a wine bottle with a letter in it.
I think it's Shikinejima.
Yeah, I just can't say it properly. This young fisherman kept it just out of curiosity. Then, because Rokkenjima had fallen under the world's attention due to the Ushiromiya Library, he announced his discovery.
Is there any chance that it was a fabrication made by the fisherman?
Of course, we weren't able to deny that possibility. The scraps of paper in the wine bottle were signed by a certain member of the Ushiromiya family, a girl named Ushiromiya Maria. However, after looking at the writing left on her former belongings, it was confirmed that this message was written in a different person's handwriting.
A different person's handwriting?
Correct. At the very least, I believe that there can be no doubt that it was written by a person more skilled at writing and of a greater age than her. There's a very high likelihood that someone faked her name when they wrote it. Therefore, at that point in time, the contents of those scraps of paper were thought to have a very low credibility.
Could it be Angie writing the letter? Time-travelling Angie! Is that time?
She was.
Is that time traveling? We're
She
time traveling
was 6
right now.
years old at the time of.
Oh.
Yes, it's Andrew. However, later on it was confirmed that a similar message bottle had been recovered from the nearby ocean on the day of the accident by the police in their search for lost articles, and this caused a sensation. You following?
Wait, so there was a bottle. It's been so long since the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm forgetting bits of the original.
That's fine.
So, in the first few episodes, there was a bottle that washed up on the shore, written by Maria Chan, supposedly. And then he's saying when Aunt Ava sold the books.
Yeah, but he's saying that one wine bottle washed up, a fisherman found it, and then he announced it during that time. But then he just said that at some point it was revealed that the police had picked up a bottle during their investigation. So there's more than one, potentially.
Yeah, okay. No, I did get that there was more than one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure. It seems that due to evidence from the surrounding area and the fact that the bottle had been sealed, the police had decided that its likelihood of being a fabrication was low, and that it had been abandoned no earlier than a few days before the accident. And the handwriting for both matched. This caused the credibility of the scraps of paper discovered by the fishermen to rise. It seems magazines and the likes have reported on the contents of that message bottle repeatedly. But would you like an explanation?
No. I know about it, more or less.
Many scraps of paper had been stuffed into both of the wine bottles. It was an extensive notebook written by someone calling themselves Ushiromia Maria, but who wasn't Maria, and which told of the events starting the day before the accident and up until the day of the accident in a diary-like way. And its contents had been the beginning of the witch's legend serial murder incident, as well as the Golden Witch Beatrice's puzzle. This bizarre diary-style notebook described how the Ushiromia family members, nailed down on the island by the typhoon, were caught up in a ceremony for the resurrection of a witch, and killed one by one in inexplicable ways. And in the end, the Golden Witch Beatrice revived, and everything was flung into the Golden Land. It was written almost as though it was a complete account of the events on those days. Also, it depicted the current situation on the island at the time in great detail, and the former servants who used to work for the Ushiromia family gave testimony that it had definitely been written by a human who knew the inside details of the island.
So, because of a combination of the occult boom from the strange fantasy novel and the Ushiromia library, and as well as the fact that the truth remained shrouded in darkness, the legend of the Rikkenjima witch was born?
Correct. More than 10 years have already passed since that case, and it's still the focus of interest for occult enthusiasts across the world. No, to the contrary, you could say that it has become increasingly deified as time passes. There are still many enthusiasts who try to secretly land on Rikkenjima, even though it's prohibited. Could there be another message bottle that has still not been discovered? And on that day, what really happened on that island? There is still much to be discussed. As though he had finally remembered that he had been going on and on for some time, the man took a gulp of water. His pottage was getting cold. Pottage was getting cold, but it seemed that the man's hunger had already been blown away.
I'm pretty sure I heard that the fisherman's scraps of paper and the police's scraps of paper had completely different contents.
Correct. Due to that, interest in the Rikkenjima mystery increased even further. Inside both bottles were diary-style notebooks, on which was written an account from the day before the accident until the day of the accident. However, while both of their contents described the same 2-day period, they were completely different. It was as though one was the truth and one was a lie, or perhaps both were lies. In any event, beginnings and endings alone matched each other. In the beginning, the 18 people, including the relatives, are sealed up on the island by the typhoon, and in the ending, everyone dies, the Golden Witch is revived, and everything is flung into the Golden Land. The contents of both message bottles wrote about the events of the day before the accident and the day of the accident, but the details were completely different. Both diaries outline a serial murder following the epitaph of the witch, but the orders of the sacrifices, the way they died, and even the tale of the 2 days were different. However, in both, everyone died in the end, and the witch revived, making for the same general plot. Because the only survivor, Miss Ushiremiya Ava, has remained silent about what actually happened on that island, the events of that entire 2-day period are shrouded in darkness. These 2 diaries presented a full 2 theories to wipe away that darkness. Those 2 days could be explained with either of those 2 diaries. However, we don't know which is correct, or even if there's anything correct contained within them. Schrodinger's cat box. If it isn't denied, even a mixture of truth and fiction can be the truth. Through the media, these scraps of paper had of course been shown to Ava as well, but in the end she never broke her silence.
Who sent the message bottles and why?
Earlier in their special issue for the crime's 10th anniversary, a certain magazine took that topic up for discussion in a grand manner, didn't they? That theory seems to be the one garnering the most support lately. But it is rather dull. What happened on that island, on that day? Considering this question is the true charm of the witch hunt. The witch hunt?
The witch hunt?
Foreshadowing. No, I'm pretty sure. Because at this point the translation project had already been going. I think at this point, Ryukishi, the author, he took notice of them, and so he referenced them in this.
Oh, that's their.
They're called the witch hunt, or witch hunt, or something. I used to always go on the site. I was looking at the progress status report for each episode, and I was like, it hasn't changed. It's still at 10%. And I come back, it's 50%, nice! And I just have to keep coming back week after week. Yes, the Rikenjima Witch Hunt is the name of a group of enthusiasts who try to explain the truth of that crime from an occult perspective. Discussion of the mysteries that surrounded Rikenjima, from the Ushiremiya library to the mysterious 2-day period to the legend of the Golden Witch, is flourishing even today among enthusiasts. But the 10-year anniversary in an international convention was held in New York. I also participated as a representative of Japan. I was able to intermingle with zealous overseas witch hunters in many ways. Witches are a very popular category overseas. The age span of the participants stretched from elementary scholars at the bottom all the way to famous cultural figures at the top. Even in Japan in recent years, there was finally... You probably don't need any more explanation, but he's one of the most famous Rikenjima witch hunters in Japan. Even though I didn't,
Even though I didn't ask anything more, he kept continuing on excitedly all by himself. As I swirled the thin film on my pottage with my soup, I shrugged my shoulders.
Soup.
Ugh. I'm falling asleep if you didn't know. As I swirled the thin film on my pottage with my spoon, it makes more sense. I shrugged my shoulders and sighed. Looks like researching about the message bottle really was a waste of time. No, Maria-chan gave you a clue. No, if there's one thing I found, it's that the notebook supposedly written by Maria Onee-chan was actually written by a different person faking her name. And that person wrote up an occult legend on their own, put it into the bottle as though it were the truth, and threw it into the sea. I have a question. Why would they go to all the trouble of writing so much in order to prepare a suspicious letter like that? With a message bottle, there'd be no guarantee that it ever pass into anyone's hands. If their luck had been bad, it could have sunk into the ocean, never to be seen by anyone. And even if someone had picked it up, they might have not cared about it and thrown it away. Why would they entrust their confession of the truth to the sea with such an uncertain method? And why would they write up multiple differing tales? If there'd been one message bottle, claiming that its story was the truth might be reckless. but not impossible. However, because there were two, that made both of them doubtful. If someone was plotting to make out those 2 days to be the work of a witch, then they really did go one step too far. And because there were two, it suggests that an undiscovered third one, or possibly even one more, might exist. In other words, the two differing contents makes both of them harder and harder to swallow. But despite that, the contents of both matched in that they told of a witch in a tale. So is that the main point the writer wanted to get across to us? It seems to me that the only possible explanation is that someone who wanted to give rise to an illusion of a witch carried out this crime for their own enjoyment. However, the 17 people other than Aunt Ava lost their lives, and a vast wealth, or maybe even 10 tons of gold, had moved around secretly in the darkness. It doesn't feel right for a confession occurring after all that to bring up this illusion of the witch. Even if we ignore the magazine's theories, it's very doubtful that the message bottle really was a diary. After all, the amount of writing was massive. It's hard to imagine that someone actually caught up in the middle of a serial murder like that would be able to calmly write it down. In that case, it's probably more realistic that this diary was written slowly over a long period of time up until the day prior to the accident. In that case, would it mean that everything on Rokkenjima was a planned crime, with everything prepared over for a long stretch of time? The fact that Aunt Ava left this world without saying anything is infuriating. She definitely said it on her deathbed. She definitely said that her reason for not telling me the truth was because it was her best way of harassing me. Yeah, by now it's painfully obvious. Of all the things Aunt Ava did to harass me, this was probably the last and the greatest. But thinking of it in this way, it's pretty doubtful that Aunt Ava is the true culprit. Of course, that's not because the handwriting on the message bottle was different from Aunt Ava's or anything like that, not that I checked. It's because in both tales that were discovered, Aunt Ava was included among the victims. If the writer of that diary was the culprit, maybe Aunt Ava was also one of the targets to be killed. Maybe Aunt Ava survived because something went wrong. Because I hate Aunt Ava, I came to believe that she had to be the culprit. But the existence of the message bottle makes me suspect that the mastermind is a far more profound and unknown person than her. I looked at the clock. I've heard more than enough. It's time. As he continued to speak fervently, I suggested that I wanted to bring this discussion to a close. He seemed to be aware that he'd gotten excited and talked too much, so we quickly accepted this. Thank you very much for today. I believe I've heard something truly valuable.
No. It was truly fun to be able to welcome a young lady as a new friend of the witch hunt. I have many precious materials that I couldn't show you because of this change to a different venue from the usual. I would be glad to show you them at the next chance we get.
Thank you, Professor. Could I ask one more thing?
Yes, what is it?
Professor, why are you interested in witches? No, in occultism and demonology.
Well, that is somewhat embarrassing. A daydream I had in my childhood, that if I could use a mysterious power I could take on even the biggest of bullies, went on to become my life's work. After all, the primitive desire of admiring unknown power is as universal today as it ever was in the past.
Professor, if you could do it, would you want to become a witch? Do you still dream of being able to use magic at will?
But of course, even though at this age I understand logically that such a thing couldn't exist. I cannot forget my childlike dreams, such as flying in the sky and turning scrap into iron gold. Ha ha ha. If you would, please keep it a secret from someone. My students.
If I told you that I was a real witch, would you believe it?
My pet theory from my few experiences with women is that they are all witches.
Whoa!
Angie snorted at the old professor, who must have been an earnest scholar with barely any experience with women.
Yeah. And one final question. Professor, have you seen the original message bottle itself?
I have indeed.
In that case, do you know that handwriting well?
Of course. I am not a specialist in that area, but at least when it comes to the handwriting of the message bottle, I am proud to be the most knowledgeable in Japan.
At that point.
Angie set a book on the desk with a thud.
And this is?
And this is? I have never seen it before. He prided
himself on his thorough knowledge of all literature related to Rikkenjima, and he looked bewildered at this binding that he hadn't seen before.
Ignoring him, Archie silently flipped through the pages, opened to one of them and showed him. On that page was a handwritten paragraph beginning with, "To my beloved witch apprentice," and at the end there was a signature in katakana that said, "Beatrice." This is... The instant he glanced at it, his face went pale. She knew the answer before asking, but Archie asked it out loud anyway.
Does the handwriting in the paragraph on this page match the handwriting in the message bottle?
Well, I must take this home and investigate more. But pardon me for asking, but what in the world is this notebook? Where did you get it? The man stretched out his hand, but Angie pulled it back.
No way, Grandpa!
As though telling him not to touch it with his filthy hands.
Thank you. Just that reaction is all I need. Thank you very much for today. Here's the reward I promised.
As she stood up, clutching Maria's diary, Angie carelessly tossed a wad of 10,000 yen notes wrapped with a strip of paper onto the table. As Angie turned her back to him and made to leave, the man raised his voice as though clinging to her. But Angie didn't stop walking. I beg you, what in the world is that book? I don't need a reward. Show me that book.
Both you and I are in the witch hunt, but it looks like we aren't pursuing it at the same level. Is this Angie?
Yes, Angie.
You're entertaining yourself with the outside world of the cat, with the outside of the cat books, and what I want to know about is the inside of the cat box. And this book is the key to opening it. It's too good for you. Well then, sayonara, salaryman. I'm gonna just have a nice day. Don't know. Have a nice day.
But please, wait! Sumadera-san!
Ooh.
His voice didn't reach her. She had already joined up with Amakusa and gone into the car.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about Amakusa.
Don't give me Amakusa voices. I've forgotten. Did you find anything?
Only at the very end. I was right. The one who wrote the message bottles was Beatrice herself.
Cool. So you've concluded that the witch actually exists.
Who knows? Mind if I sleep? I'll bet that talkative professor gets lost in his own little world in lectures and makes a lot of kids fall asleep.
Please go ahead, take a rest. I don't know how to... Yeah.
Still, that went really well. That guy believed I was a Sumadera until the very end.
The Sumadera family had set up a web beforehand around any people Angie might try to contact. They had offered a reward to anyone who could take Ushiromiya Angie into custody if she appeared. Angie had foreseen that, and snatched it away. She called herself Sumadera, and after cleverly tricking the man by saying her own subordinates would set up an ambush, so he didn't need to worry about it, she had taken him outside. So, when the Sumadera family pursuers reached the professor's house, there was no longer anyone there.
She didn't kill him, did she?
No, she left him.
But they went to go find the man.
Yeah, she basically told him that it's all good. And so he went on his business. This would be a grunt. According to the family, a young man and woman calling themselves Sumadera visited this morning. Took the professor out with them, and still have not returned. There's a chance we were outmaneuvered.
Oh, what a bad child, Angie-chan. I wonder if that craftiness is from Ne-san's blood. To think she'd actually uncasually take on the name Sumadera after saying she'd hate to go by it so often. Oh, you need a richer voice. No, I don't think I can at the moment. The professor should be returning soon. When he does, we must serve him some tea.
Yes, understood.
I wonder if she thinks she's leading me around by the nose. What a naughty child.
With a demonic look on her face, Kasumi violently stamped her heel.
And broke it on the footpath.
Gouge the head and kill.
I'll teach you about my magic of origins. Who's speaking?
It's probably...
No, I taught you before, right? And you used it before. Did you forget? You were also a witch apprentice, aren't you? With your name entered into the mariage sorcière, weren't you? I gotta know how that's pronounced.
I'm pretty sure you got it right.
Google Translate to the rescue. Go, 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 go. Wait, you gotta type in the translate.
No, if you just type, just type in the word, you should be able to find the pronunciation.
Mariage. Wedding. It's French. Thought so. Saw.
You're not spelling that right at all.
It's mariage.
No, before you had
Saucy air. I don't know how to do the little thing on the top. Which wedding?
Which wedding?
Oh my goodness.
Mariage sorcière.
Sorcière? Sorcière.
I would just say...
Mariage sorcière.
Wait,
Mariage
did you mean this one?
sorcière.
Yes, I did.
Mariage sorcière.
Yeah, that's just...
Mariage sorcière. I was also included among the witches, wasn't I? I closed Maria's diary and flopped down on a very high-class looking bed. Such a random detail. I slept deeply for a long time in the car, so it took longer than usual for drowsiness to set in, and I read the diary as I waited. This was a super expensive hotel in the city. Since it was often used by the rich and the famous, they were very big on confidentiality. That made it very convenient for Anji to escape her pursuers. The idea that renegades should spend their nights hiding in cheap hotels is a commoner's way of thinking. To Anji, who possessed all the wealth of the Ushiramiya family, renegade life was comfortable indeed. Of course, even though he was a guard, Amakusa was a man and therefore in a separate room. Anji used the bedroom of the suite and Amakusa lay on the sofa in the living room. According to Amakusa, the sofas here were more pleasant than his own beds he had been in recently. Poor guy. When I looked at the clock, I saw that it was almost 2 in the middle of the night. I'm still not getting sleepy. I sighed deeply. At that time, even though there was no wind, I had the feeling that Maria One-chan's diary flooded. Then, One-chan appeared. Her form was no longer the normal one I'd known. She was wearing the dress that Beatrice had given her after acknowledging her as a witch. If you don't get some sleep, it'll be tough tomorrow, right? If I were a witch too, I'd be able to use magic, wouldn't I? Yeah, you can use it. I told you, didn't I? Taught you how to use it. And you were able to use it in the past, weren't you? I remember. I've started wanting to use it. Are you starting to feel lonely? Not really. It's not like having a different pillow every night is that tough. The first step to magic can be loneliness or boredom. Even small reasons like that. Even if it's just trying to kill time until you can fall asleep? Yeah, I'm glad you remembered about magic one more time. It's been quite a long time since I last used magic. At one point with Maria One-chan's introduction, I touched a corner of it and opened the door a tiny bit, so I should still remember that sensation. Right now, your magical power has declined significantly, Angie. If you don't devote yourself to the basics, it'll be hard, okay? Sure, checking all directions, securing a quiet space. What about Amakusa-san? He's sleeping. After opening the door to the living room a crack, I could see the blanket caterpillar on the sofa roll over in its sleep. With your magical strength as weak as it is now, the anti-magic power is affecting you too much. Not just the sight of people, but voices, sounds, and even the presence of people will get in the way of your magic. Sever those completely. Like how ancient magicians shut themselves up in the ateliers to preserve their isolation. I remember. The very existence of humans blocks magic. Therefore, the very act of showing magic to people is the sign of a high-level witch. Obtain a quiet space for yourself alone. That should be enough to prepare a space to use magic. Next is a vessel. Right now, it's important for your bike to at least have training wheels. No, a chain. Who has ever used a chain to... are they talking about the chain bit?
About the chain, yeah.
Okay. This is, of course, impossible.
Like kind of implying that it's more necessary than the training wheels, because, like...
You can't go anywhere.
Yeah, even if you have training wheels, if you don't have a chain, you're not moving.
Okay.
Angie rubbed her own head.
She wore hair accessories there with pink gems attached. They felt a little childish for Angie, but she never took them off, not even for a single day. Yeah. It really will be impossible for you now, Angie. If you practiced every single day since then, you might have gained the ability to summon with that by now. If I were to start training now, how long would it take? It's said that a year of magical training for a child is worth 10 years for an old person. You need a lot of determination. You mean like Ushiromiya Kinzo? So just like the piano and the violin, getting a special education from a young age is huge when it comes to magic. As you are now, your power has weakened since the time you were first able to use magic, Auntie. Don't overdo it, and devote yourself to the basics. After stubbornly rubbing those things on my head one more time, I gave up. Then I started fishing through the knapsack, looking for anything that might make a good vessel. Shouldn't this be a perfect vessel? It's been a long time, yes. With this, I think even you should be able to perform a summons as you are now. And they have no master now. It should be possible for you to become their new master, Angie. Among the things that looked like good vessels, I took the one I thought might possess the strongest magical power, and set it on the side table near the bed with a clatter. It was a shady-looking stake-shaped weapon with an occult design inscribed on it. What?
What?
Where is this going?
No, just trying to summon.
One of the stakes. It's not going to be Lucifer's. I'm not prepared for Lucifer. Let me have a drink of water first.
You can guess which one it is?
Is it a cute one?
I'll buy a dinner. No, wait. Lasagna's for dinner.
No! I kind of want to give Angie a different voice.
Yeah, just do whatever you want.
No, okay.
She can be emotional. She doesn't have to be just pure
Emo.
gloom, yeah. But she is very depressed, if you can imagine.
Yeah. I'm gonna start this again. It was a shady-looking stake-shaped weapon with an occult design inscribed on it. It was one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, which the witch used to offer sacrifices. When the police had been searching the family's possessions, they had collected a large amount of junk. Wait, she said they haven't had a master for a while now, so it's all of them. Oh my goodness. Will they have new uniforms? After the investigation had finished, these had been politely returned. Here are the murder weapons that were used to kill your family members. Have them back. Returned to the Ushiromio family. Finding something that I'd seen in the pictures of Maria's diary, I took it home with me. Originally, there were 7 stakes of purgatory. How pitiful. Now she's the only one left. Okay. One-chan smiled, looking lonely. I pulled another book out of the knapsack. This was also old-fashioned, and you could tell that it was an occult book just by looking. But its contents were plain. It was one of Maria One-chan's elaborate notebooks. This wasn't a diary. This was a grimoire, which she had written as a witch. The 7 stakes of purgatory are Beatrice's furniture, created by her and employed only for her sake. But since Beatrice is also a witch of the mariage sorcier...
Mariage sorcière.
Was that it? I got it wrong again. Wait.
How do you get it wrong after
I
listening
don't know.
to it?
I listened to it twice.
Mariage sorcière.
Sorcière.
Mariage sorcière.
Mariage sorcière. Mariage sorcière. Beatrice is also a witch of the mariage sorcière that could be employed by Maria, a witch of the same alliance. What's the difference between Maria and Maria?
Good question.
There's got to be a difference when they use it, though. Capital Maria.
The capitals are generally referring to witches.
Okay.
Not always. Like Beatrice is never capitalized, Virgilia is never capitalized. It's like, I don't know.
Witches.
I might have to look more into that.
Surplus the witches. For that reason, the method of summoning the 7 stakes of purgatory and how to handle them was written about in great detail in Maria One-chan's grimoire. And, as another person with their name registered in that alliance, I was also permitted to employ them. Which of the 7 sisters is in this stake? Their characteristics are written about well in my grimoire. The sisters of the 7 stakes really hate it when you get their names wrong. Remember their names well before summoning them.
Who is it?
It's totally gonna be Lucifer.
Let's have a look at them. Can we?
Where'd they go?
Interesting.
Not there?
Nah. I'm sure you only remember like 1 or 2 names anyway.
It was Gluttony.
No, like the actual names. You know Lucifer.
Yeah. Wasn't Gluttony one of them?
That was what they were, like, their characteristic was. It wasn't their name.
Yeah, I only know Lucifer. So it's not, you keep asking me, so it's not Lucifer. Or you're just trying to trick me.
Oh, I'm just saying. You need to know all of them if you want to summon them, she's saying. You need to get the names right.
Ah! Okay, let's continue. A packed page told of the 7 stakes of purgatory. It described the 7 sisters in great detail. Yes, I think I memorized almost this entire page once in the past. The more I read it, the more I start to remember. By the pictures and characteristics written on the grimoire, I could tell that the stake in my hand was Mammon's stake. Oh, which one is that? I recognize the name, but I can't remember the face. We'll just find out. In the past, I hadn't had any stakes, so I'd summon them without any vessel.
I've never had a steak before.
So this was the first time I'd clearly seen any of the 7 stakes, let alone Mammon. Mammon! The 5th sister! And my reflux of spicy noodles. Oh my goodness. Controls the deadly sin of greed. An incredible kid.
Greed also controls aspirations, the desire to improve oneself, and the strength to live. It definitely doesn't mean only bad things. She's rude, but she's a girl who tries really hard.
I see. You could say that without desire, there's no reason to live. For a while, I heightened my concentration and digested the information that was written about Mammon. The more the summoner knows about the target that's being summoned, the better. Knowledge is connected to magical power. I began to fill my head with knowledge about Mammon, raising a necessary amount of magical power for summoning. Grimoires can be a bit interesting. This might be a much better read than some lame novel. It really takes me back.
For a grimoire, it is demanded not only that you understand the letters, but that you fill up the world of the space between the lines, giving birth to a world from the pictures and creating things in various ways. The power to give birth to something. For someone who has that, such as you, a grimoire should be more interesting than any book. I've always known that you'd be able to understand that.
It's kind of like counter to what she was saying before.
She is Yoda.
Well, when Angie was reading the diary, she was like, I can read between the lines. And she's like, but I'm just writing about a nice event. And now she's like, you need to read between the lines before the song.
That should be enough knowledge of Mammon for now. Yes, I've remembered it, more or less. I'll give it a try.
Take care. In case the worst happens. Oh my goodness. Here is my talisman. The Treaty of the Alliance won't protect you right now. That Mammon is a bit of a quick trigger. And she may still bear a grudge. Be careful.
She the pigtails one? Oh, yes, I'll wear it. The 7 stakes of purgatory, as furniture used to make sacrifices for a ceremony, were treated as beings inferior even to weapons. But that was only when compared to other demons. To humans, furniture is something to be feared. I fished through the knapsack again. Took out a bracelet charm with a scorpion medal that I'd gotten from Maria on Achan long ago, and put it on my arm. In the past, I hadn't needed something like this, but I need insurance.
It's okay. That has already been fitted with the required amount of magical defense. As long as you wear that, you'll definitely be fine.
Maria One-Chan's magical power, which had been specially put into this charm, had been enough to earn even Beatrice's admiration. While it may have looked like something cheap to a human who couldn't understand magic, its magical worth was incalculable. Come, arise, forgive the sin, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Mammon of greed. Green her? I focused my mind. I made the magic-repelling toxin that filled my body 0. Imagine an untainted, vast space. Doubts and common sense all resist magic. Make the resistance 0 and erase the burden on the magical power. Inside my head was the image of a vast space. It was a nighttime world where I floated in the air and the neon stars over the ground sparkled. A world where the stars that should have covered the sky were wiped away by the light from below that covered the ground. In the world of a vast night sky with no obstructions, I imagined the wind blowing through at will. After that time, in a room where there shouldn't have been any wind, the free nighttime wind kicked up a cyclone.
Have you ever done this kind of thing?
What?
Tried to, use your inner magical powers?
Not since I was a kid. No.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like even as a kid.
No, well, after watching Matilda, like sometimes I'd be like, "Can I use my mind to move things?"
It also reminds me of did you do that? Is it LMP or something? NLP?
I didn't do NLP, but I remember like our parents took us to that. What was it? Alpha brainwaves.
Yeah,
thing,
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
where we had to like.
Yeah, it reminds me of that as well.
I just remember from that, like being in. It's gonna sound so weird. Like the clicking track that they used to play all the time, and then like being around. We were in like a circle with. So we're in this. I don't know. I don't really believe it. It's kind of. I don't know. I think it was a waste of money. In my opinion, it was a total waste of money. But our parents took our whole family to this thing. And I just remember like one of the closing exercises that we did, you had to like, everybody in the group stood around in a circle, and the guy in the center who was running it was like talking about, and now you see a rainbow and blah blah blah, and just people being like, I can see it, I can see the rainbow, and oh, it's beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. I was just like, oh, I'm trying, but this is like so weird. And yeah, I don't know, do you remember that bit? Like,
no, not really.
Like the waterfall and the rainbow. And what are yours? Because I just remember I didn't want to be there because I think I could drive. I could drive a car at that point. So I technically like could have just got up and left, but Mum and Dad was so like
adamant. You
have to attend this. Like, this is good for you. It's just like no.
Well, I remember
because you were way younger.
I was in like middle school, maybe junior high.
Yeah.
Because he told us like to come up with like a little mental zone kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think
like
so.
imagine a space that you can like go to your own inner palace or something like that.
Yeah, keep going.
And like I just remember I was like, oh yeah, go in the clouds, summon a glass airplane and just chilling there. That's what I remember from that bit. But then like, oh, they had like the chakra reading and stuff, and mine was just like crazy.
I remember like with your chakra reading, they were
Was
like,
it crazy?
"Whoa!" No, your chakra was like
mine
the
was,
best.
Actually, it was aligned pretty well, but there was one thing that was just like really out for some reason.
Like
really
yours
weird.
was it your chakra or your aura or both? They were just like, "This was amazing."
Yeah,
like,
no,
it was really good.
It's all just, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I think I remember like doing one of those meditation sessions, and I like fell asleep. I think I farted, and then like I woke up because like there were two people like near me just laughing, and I was like, oh, hid under the table, too embarrassed.
And the other thing I remember is like you had to put your index finger and your thumb together.
Yeah.
And that was like to train yourself to go into the alpha brainwave zone, like turn your alpha brainwaves on, index finger to thumbs, sort of like I don't know, what is it? Who was the one? Is it Buddha who's like, oh...
Yeah, he's pictured doing that.
There's probably a few other figures in history who do that too, but just...
I think those kind of things are like for people who maybe have never experienced religion or something. And so
people
they get
exploring spirituality on a scientific level.
Yeah. Kind of just like they've just, I don't know how to explain it.
Because I don't know if I took in any of the science. I don't remember any like science
I know
at all in that session, but I also didn't want to be there, so I was like this angsty teenager, like being like, I have to sit here when I could be like off with my friends.
I know part of it was like it's meant to make your memory good and help you to like not quite have photographic memory, but like a pretty good memory, like, and like that kind of thing is stuff that I'd already been doing, like to remember things. So it wasn't much. It was just like it's something you do instinctively.
That's the thing too, because I think it was combined with some leadership training, and I remember because I was on student council, so it's like, I think I was like student council in grade 7, and then done it like once or twice in high school. They send you, I don't know, when you're in like certain programs, they send you to a lot of like inspirational speakers and all that stuff. So a lot of the stuff he had been talking about in leadership wise was stuff I already heard before.
Yeah.
So that's also why I was like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, I've been in better sessions.
Well, it was worth it though. Yeah. Money well spent. I don't want to know how much it cost.
It was like a lot of money. It was
I
like
don't
a
wanna know.
minimum of $800 each. Like, I think they spent... Yeah, let's not think about it. It's just going to make you depressed.
Anyway.
I think those things can be useful as tools for like meditation and trying to, if you can use them in a way to deal with stress and...
Yeah, I don't think you need a course on that though.
Well, it depends how deep people want to go into it. The people do meditation courses and stuff. But there's also, like, we live in the age of the internet now, so you can always find a lot of that stuff too online.
I know it's, like, not exactly correct to say, but I believe that, like, college and uni and stuff is kind of worthless now. Because you can learn pretty much anything on your own.
Yeah, it's...
If you're smart about it.
Yeah, it's one of those... It can be, and it can also not be.
Yeah.
Like, there's some places that they won't hire you unless you have a degree.
That's why I'm still finishing.
Yeah, it's weird though, because you can have a totally different degree to what you're actually applying for the job for, but they, as long as you've got a degree, they don't really...
That's the whole thing. Like, if you want to get a job in Japan, they're just like, oh, just make sure you've got a degree. And they're like, in what? Just a degree. And so,
yeah. Have you been, if that's still a goal, are you still studying Japanese? I've been wanting to practice my Japanese.
I want to get
more.
it back into it next year.
Yeah.
I want to work on LMP.
Yeah.
What is it called? JLP? Japanese language proficiency.
Yeah, it's JLP, but it's like N1, N2, N3. That's what the N's
I
from.
would probably just start back at N1.
I failed mine.
N1?
No, I think I did N3.
Yeah, N3's a lot harder than
because
N1.
My teacher was like, you should be at N3 level, and I was like, can I just do N1? She's like, no, that's gonna be too easy.
I could probably fail N1. I was it's a bit off topic, but like one of the VTubers, she was doing like GLP, I think it was N1 study.
Wait, is N1 the highest though? I forgot the hierarchy. Because is it 6 or 5?
It's either 1 to 5 or 5 to 1.
Yeah.
But I think they were doing the lowest one or second lowest one. And like I should be well above that, and like they were just reading all the kanji and stuff. I was just like, yeah, okay.
That's why I brought you that box of kanji cards.
Yeah.
So fun facts about us. We both did. We were both Japanese language majors in uni.
Look where that's gotten us. Reading in English for translation of a novel. Of a Japanese novel.
Oh, did I tell you about the time? I read English manga, and you read English manga too. Yeah. I know that. There was one that I started reading, and they stopped doing it in English, so I looked everywhere to try and find it, and I was like, I will learn and study Japanese just so I can read this series. I was like really into it and just wanted to read it. I enjoyed what I had found in English so bad, and it took me ages, and it's been years, and I finally I found some and took all this time downloading, and then when I actually got it, it was in Korean. I was like, no.
Studied the wrong language. Too bad.
So I've got to like, I'd looked at getting it, and they had it on Amazon for like really cheap. You could get the whole series from like secondhand bookstores, but they wouldn't ship to Australia. It would only ship to Japan. And I was like, meh.
Well, you'd ship it to Japan and then get it shipped here.
It was in Japan already. I have to find. No, what I have to find is someone who will ship it back. I got to find one of those services, because it's just like what they were charging on like eBay at the time and stuff.
That's how
was
people
like
get around that. They
so much
get transferred. I think I wanted to find. I couldn't find the Japanese version of Uzumaki when I was trying to do it for my assignment.
Oh, really?
Because just that assignment I was talking about, how it was about manga.
Yeah.
And so I had explained like how it was right to left and everything. But then, because the translated version of Uzumaki, they made it left to right. They changed it all around. They westernized it.
That's so strange to me.
I was just
that
like,
they did that.
oh, this is really annoying. And like even reading through it, I read the whole thing and I was just like, this is. I've read through like the first 4 or 5 chapters right to left, and I was just like, it kind of feels like something's wrong here when I read it. Anyway, that was a long segue. Let's get back to Anji.
Okay. The long-forgotten sensation raced through my entire body. It was the alpha brainwaves. It was the unique feeling of exaltation that comes from using our magic. Now, I can't stop thinking of this one old lady being like, I can see the rainbow, with her hands, like, stretched out to the sky. Oh, my goodness.
I don't remember that.
Mammon steak, which I held out in my hand, gradually began to make me feel a pale light. A twisting cyclone with the steak at the center. The hefty steak floated a bit into the air. Wonderful. Looks like the gap in your training hasn't stolen your talent. I'm turning into Virgilia. Come, arise. Forgive the sin. One of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Mammon of greed. Show yourself to me. After I raised my hands bit by bit, lifting them higher than my head. As though it was being attracted upwards, Mammon's stake once again floated up high into the air and gradually began to shake. That shaking began to grow faster, and it burst.
Just die.
With a speed faster than the eye could follow, it flew around, violently rebounding off the walls of the room. The terrible sound of it dancing around threatened to make me flinch. However, I must not lose my mental concentration. It is the sound of death. Is this protection?
Mm-hmm.
Then the stake, which had been flying around at an incredible speed, finally stopped and faced me. It was in the air, just a few centimeters away from my forehead, and held back the defensive barrier created by the scorpion charm. Is this the one that was defeated by... I've forgotten their names. Her mum and dad.
Yeah. I think so.
And that's the grudge.
I can't remember, because Mammon is greed. But I'm pretty sure it was envy that Kirie fought. But for some reason I feel like, I don't know if it was from the anime, just similar coloured hair. I can't remember.
Okay.
I feel like it was, but I might be wrong.
Alright. It had tried to break the defensive barrier, eating into it with an incredible power, but Maria One-chan's barrier wouldn't be broken so easily. Who did the voice originally?
We just switched between... We didn't have any set voices for them except for Lucifer.
That's
do you want me to do it?
What are we?
If I had a soprano voice, I would gladly take a more female. It's no use. I can't break it.
Yes. You've done this to your throat yourself.
Not that voice, not this
yes,
character.
yes.
Not this character. I would do it for someone else, maybe.
The stake muttered hatefully. It was probably safe to say that the scorpion charm saved me. Without that, my attempt at killing time until I got sleepy would have killed my time for all eternity. When Mammoth Steak realized that it was unable to gouge me, it gave up and grew docile, changing its form from that of a steak into a human. In that same old outfit that I'd never been able to walk around outside in. Although you could say it suited her in a demonic sort of way.
Is that Angie-sama? But that magical power is pretty shabby. Are you really Angie-sama?
It's been a long time, Mammon. Have you been well?
And here I was, convinced that furniture that's already... I can't.
And
think
here
of
I
this.
was convinced that furniture that's already fulfilled its function just gets left to rust away in a closet. So what kind of sideshow is this? You aren't going to say that you're my owner, are you? Yes, Auntie is your master. Lady Maria? How unsightly of me. Was that barrier just now yours? Yes, I thought that as she is now, Auntie might just have gotten finished off by you. I lent her a talisman. If Lady Maria says Angie-sama is my master, I cannot refuse. Angie-sama, please, your orders. If it's me you need, are you going to perform a new ceremony? With new sacrifices? Of course, that's only if you're willing to handle me yourself and get your own hands dirty.
That role isn't something I'm asking for anyone. That role isn't something I'm asking for anymore. Anymore? All you have to do is talk with me like you used to.
Yes, if that's what you desire. Furniture is furniture because it is used. It is an honor just to be summoned. Angie-sama.
Mammon had a slightly complicated smile on her face. She accepted her new master because Maria had told her to, but it looked like she hadn't gotten over her discontent at working for Angie with her frail magical power. Perhaps she had some other reason for hating Angie, but for now it seemed that she couldn't disobey even if she wasn't happy about it.
So, what should I do?
I don't know. Just do something lively, like old times. Dance like a monkey!
Well now, this liveliness you're talking about is probably from when we sisters were all together. It may be difficult by myself.
Did you forget?
That's right. The 7 sisters were really lively when they got together. But with Angie's magical power now, I think summoning just Mammon is the best we can hope for. The stakes for the other 6 have been lost. My apologies, Lady Maria, but maybe it would be possible to summon the 7 sisters via my own stake. If I am to be used, I'd hope Angie-sama has at least that much power, right?
Mammon grinned. Apparently she wanted me to summon the other sisters without a vessel. I see. Since she's unable to satisfy herself with being summoned alone, she's asking for the other sisters to be summoned as well. I get it, greed. Yes, she was like this back then, wasn't she? To furniture, the times during which they are used are bliss. No matter how badly they are exploited, being used is furniture's joy. On the contrary, regardless of how nice you are to them, not being given a job is more painful than anything in their eyes. Mammon spoke in a challenging way, but she wanted me to summon the other sisters somehow and rescue them from the world of nothingness. If that's the case, all she's got to do is say so. These demon people could never just say what they mean.
Auntie, don't overdo it. You need plenty of rehabilitation just from summoning Mammon.
Oh, I'll need to rehabilitate after just one? Well, I'm just killing time anyway. Okay, Mammon, I've gone this far. I'll call as many as I can.
Really? Not bad, Auntie-sama. Okay, quickly. Apparently, even though she'd asked Mammon... she'd asked, Mammon hadn't really expected Angie to do this. She hopped around badgering Angie to summon the other sisters.
Summoning Mammon alone consumed a considerable amount of physical and magical power. It'll probably be pretty tough to do 6 more. I'm awed by the magical power of those who can summon sisters like this at will with a snap of their fingers, and who therefore reach the level where they can be called witches.
Mammon, don't make Auntie overdo it. She still isn't at her best.
What? Angie-sama said she'd summon everyone! Actually, I only said I'd call as many as I could. I guess that's greed for you.
Don't overdo it, Angie. You should rest for today. You're tired enough.
It's okay. I'm just killing time anyway. Let me get tired enough that I can just fall over asleep. This time there's no vessel. I'll have to strengthen the image from my knowledge of the grimoire and materialize them with just that. I held my hands out into the air, replaying in my head the sensation from when I'd summoned Mammon. I'm acquainted with all the 7 sisters, right? I've got to remember that time long ago when I talked with them. I'm just trying to digest the fact that she has spoken to them all before.
You remember, right now is like present.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
she
they're
was-
implying they had like some sort of past.
Yeah, so I'm assuming... I'm trying to think like when Maria wanted to be a witch versus like in terms of the timeline from when they were at Rikenjima. She was already interested in the occult before they went.
Maria was always into like magic because of like magical girls and stuff.
Yeah.
And then that exacerbated into like a cult as she got older.
But it sort of seemed like she met Beatrice at Rikenjima.
Who? Maria.
Maria.
Well, that's what it's implying. They had the diary that had supposedly Beatrice's handwriting in it.
Yeah, but because we don't, well, I guess what we don't know is like when, because we started off from the point of Battler and his experience, I guess you could say, in it, and so it was like 6 years since he hadn't been there, and Anji's only 6 years old at the time of Rikenjima.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like, did she go during those 6 years he wasn't there? Did she have like a cousin experience?
Was it mentioned? Well, it's mentioned that like Maria and Anji used to like play together.
Yeah.
So I would go with the assumption that they had met on the island.
Could no, I was gonna say it could be that she was getting babysat too, but it's pretty obvious that Rose is a pretty neglectful parent. Is it neglect if you do it on purpose? Yeah, I think it still is. That's very abusive.
I can't remember if we've talked, if like the novel's gone over like Battler's like absence.
Didn't he have a problem with the family?
Yeah. Do you remember when was?
It was like right at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. So it was like he had a falling out with his dad over like Kirie and Anji. And like his old mum.
Yeah.
His birth mum. Because essentially he'd been cheating.
Yeah.
Cheat-timing. And then like when he found out about that, he got mad and left the family. So he didn't go to that's why he didn't go to the island for 6 years.
Yeah.
And so this is his first, that was his first.
But Anji, as his sister, it seems like she does like him.
Yeah.
So...
It says that they didn't hang out a lot, but when they did hang out, they had a lot of fun. Okay. That's what Anji said.
Despite him being like, I don't like my dad.
Yeah. He didn't take it out on Kirie or Anji. It just on his dad.
That's very mature. Because it's very easy, like, as a teenager, to take it out on everybody.
Yeah, well, he said, like, sometimes Kirie would annoy him, but he always thought of her as, like, an older sister anyway.
Okay.
And then Anji's, like,
Does
a
it
kid,
mean that
so
his
he's
mum
not
is
gonna...
older than Kirie? I thought they were the same age.
No, his mum's probably, like, the same age, maybe younger, older, who knows. I don't think they would be, like, that vastly different in age.
Yeah.
So give or take a few years, probably.
Okay. Once again, the power of magic began to fill me up. It let off a faint and yet distinct pale light from both of my hands.
Auntie-sama! Hold on, good luck! Hey, Lady Maria, Auntie-sama's definitely gonna summon everyone, right? The 7 sisters will get to be reunited again, right? Right? Yeah, definitely. But there's no guarantee that it'll happen tonight. Auntie-sama can do it! Please, Auntie-sama! Start with the youngest sister, Asmo. I don't remember all these names.
Asmodeus. Oh, yeah.
I'd say Asmodeus. You say Asmodeus? Asmodeus.
Was,
To Google!
Osmos.
Asmodeus.
Asmodeus.
Nah, that's not
Asmodeus.
I need to get mariage sorcerer.
I don't know why it's so hard.
Mariage sorcerer.
Sorcier.
Can you tell who did better at languages?
I never did French. You did.
Sure, it makes it even worse.
Mariage sorcière.
Mariage sorcière. I don't know where I'm getting the ray from. That's 7th sister. Got it. I'll call them in order, starting from the youngest. A strand of hot sweat dripped down from my forehead. This really is going to be one hell of a burden to carry. The pale light in this space began to slowly form into the outline of a girl. Come, arise, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory, Asmodeus of lust. There was no vessel. However, as I held a strong conviction that she definitely did exist there as a core, her form began to crystallize. Her outline became distinct, and the form of the youngest of the 7 sisters, Asmodeus, was finally created. My voice automatically wanted to go into Lucifer voice. I think you should do it.
I'm just struggling to come up with girl voices.
You
right
did
now.
this one though, I think.
I've done probably all of them at some point.
Yeah, true.
Asmodeus of Lust, right here.
Sure.
Where is this? Am I alive?
Asmo! I'm so glad!
I'm on there, son. Where in the world is this? Who summoned me?
Auntie-sama did. Auntie-sama said she'd revive all of us.
No, I didn't.
Angie Summer, thank you. Do bells next, please.
Beelzebub, the 6th sister. Beelzebub of gluttony, come, arise. At this rate, I wonder how many I'll be able to summon. If I can't focus, this is probably it. The pale light made an outline and formed into Beelzebub.
No, you can take this one.
Beelzebub of gluttony right here.
Bells!
Auntie-sama, you're amazing, incredible!
It's probably meant to be the other way around.
Mummin and Asmodeus jumped onto Beelzebub, creating and celebrating their reunion. I'd summoned 3 people at once. My head was throbbing. Gotta summon the next one, without stopping for a break. Come, arise, one of the 7 stakes of
Belphegor.
one of the 7 stakes, Belphegor of Sloth.
One of the 7 stakes of Belphegor.
Belphegor of Sloth, right here. To think that I would be needed again. Belphine! I'm hungry! I'm so glad to see you again.
To think that the 7 sisters... The 7 sisters would be able to meet again. Angie Summer, thank you so much.
Keep it up and do Satan, son. Is it Satan or Satan? Do you reckon they would do it?
They would say Satan,
Satan.
but it would just be Satan.
I wanted to Satan.
Do it if you want.
Satan is next. And Leviane and Lucine. Yeah, I get it. So, please try not to be so loud. Doing 4 people at the same time is pretty tough. Auntie, don't overdo it any more than this. You did a good job summoning even 4 of them after such a long time. Stop it, Mammon. Right now, Angie Summer is being pressured with the burden of... Oh, no, who is this? I forgot.
No, I'll do it. Stop it, Mammon. Right now, Angie Summer is being pressured with the burden of summoning us. Angie Summer, I beg that you do not strain yourself too much.
No way! Angie Summer promised. She said we'd all play together again.
No,
Right? Angie Summer? You said everyone would meet again. You promised that we could meet again right away.
That's right. I promised. I didn't promise anything about when, but I certainly did promise.
So keep that promise. If you don't, I'll never forgive you for forgetting it until today, Angie Summer.
Come, arise, one of the 7 stakes of purgatory. Satan of wrath. My mind's getting hazy, but I'll call, even though I'd forgotten about those days, even though I've never thought of that time as anything but sad and lonely, because the short time I spent with them was fun without a doubt.
I just imagine like a screamer voice.
Imagine the face.
What the hell are you doing? Don't you realize how much it's burdening Angie Summer? No, I'm not done that. Just to realize? No.
Just to let us have an idle chat. Satan, who had apparently figured out the situation immediately after being summoned, cried out in a loud voice, telling her sisters off. That loud voice made my consciousness hazy again.
Oh, you want me to keep going?
We are further. Yeah.
I'm trying to like actually go scream about it. I've never done it. We are furniture who have been granted rest by Beatrice, and whose duty has been finished. Not only are you not honoured at being given another chance to be of some use, but you are putting a burden on our new master. You disgrace to all furniture. Erase yourselves right away.
Yes, it's
Oh,
like
that's amazing.
Saturday says.
I'll erase myself. You all erase yourselves too. In this moment, that's the best way for us to be of use to Angie Summer.
No, wait, not until everyone's summoned. I think that one was
That
you.
was you. Gluttony.
Same here. I'm hungry. I mean, I'd hate to leave again so soon after being reunited with you all.
Don't be so selfish. Come on, erase yourselves quickly. Come on, Asmo. Disappear right now.
Oh, which one is this one?
Wow, Satanist, someone's bullying me. It's not fair if you always bully the youngest one.
Yes, they really are lively. It doesn't bore me.
That's enough. You've surpassed your limits for now, Auntie.
You're right. With 5 of them summoned and messing around as they pleased, the load was far too heavy for me, with the meager magical power I had at that moment. This is it. As my consciousness went hazy, I fell over onto the bed. Have beds always felt this soft? It seemed that the sisters were still squabbling together as much as they liked. For a way to kill time until drowsiness comes to get me, this is enough. Feeling something warm and nostalgic in the sisters' liveliness, I sank into a world of deep sleep. At the entrance to my dream world, I felt Maria Onechan
and Sakutaro waiting to receive me. You worked hard, and good job.
Uryu! Welcome back, Angie.
Welcome back, huh? And then I should respond like this. I'm home.
I'm pretty sure that was like a short chapter. We just went on like some pretty big segues.